Okay, it's tool review time. This is my brand new Delta Milwaukee bandsaw. I believe it's from the late 30s actually, 1939, maybe 1940. It's a 880, model 880. It's metal wood combination. It's an excellent machine. It has a nice cast iron Art Deco base, which I really like. It's heavy and it adds mass to it. Overall, the machine's very good. It's cast iron wheels. Pretty much everything's cast iron on it. I did have to make some repairs to it when I got it. I don't know if it was the previous owner or sometime in the past. Anyways, the blade guards, for some reason they cut the bottom out all the way along here. And what I did is I got another bandsaw. It was a Rockwell, I think it was a model 203 or 208, something like that. It was a later edition. The parts are all still essentially the same. These here are not as thick as the original ones were, but they serve the purpose of covering everything. Does shoot. Doesn't work as well on the metal cutting machine because the base encloses a transmission. It's a bull gear that you engage to reduce the speed of the blade for cutting metal. And because of that transmission being mounted in the base, it closes off the little sort of chute at the base that drop down into the cast iron base chute. So that doesn't work quite as well as it could, but I really wanted a dual purpose bandsaw. However, since then I've actually just made a purpose built machine that cuts only metal, and this one I have in the wood shop. I have it in here with a small blade on it for doing radius work, I guess, or curves, cutting curves. And I've got a general 15-inch with a 1-inch ripping blade on it in the other shop, and that's a more serious machine than this. Although this is a very for a 14-inch bandsaw, it's pretty heavily built. Anyways, I put new bearings in it. I transferred the motor. It's a Delta Rockwell motor from my 8-inch jointer. I put it in there. It's a 1 horsepower, and then I put another 1 horsepower in the jointer. And the reason I did that is because I wanted that bullet nose. It's really just a cap cover, but that's what I call it anyways. That was in keeping with what would have been on this when it was sold in the first place. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give this about a 9. I guess only because I have that general, and I'm right now giving it a 10. It's a nice machine, cuts well, and it's relatively quiet, and it's relatively vibration free. Anyways, I highly recommend this if anybody's looking for a nice quality used machine, if they can find one. The bases, these type of bases are hard to come by. I guess people kind of collect them, but it makes a good base. It's nice and heavy. The castings are a little on the crude side, so they don't fit together as well as they could in some spots, in my opinion. But you could always play around with that and fix that if you wanted to. Like if you notice here, the gap is wider on this side than it is on that. Now I could have, farted around with it and got it set up the way I wanted it, ideally. But I wanted to use the saw as a saw, so there you have it. Highly recommended. I give it a 9 out of 10. They made this design for almost 100 years, I believe. And it's what the Taiwanese and then later the Japanese copied for years. And if it wasn't for cast iron becoming too expensive, I'm sure they would still be making these today. Perhaps they are, actually. I think there's a rigid that Lowe's sells. It looks very similar to this. The casting's similar anyways. This was what started all. And in my opinion, of this design, it's still the best. Hope you enjoy it.